Ladies and gentlemen, hello again. In the next 10 minutes, I will talk to you about the outcome of some of the work we do with young people. And as some of you may be aware, they are very concerned about the earth. They understand the earth and what greenhouses are. They know sun is a source of warmth, but also it has radiations which need to be absorbed, otherwise, we will be harmed. And if you look at, for instance, some of the layers here, each layer has got a specific function. For instance, if you look at the two nearest one, through troposphere, which is referred to as Earth's blanket, this reflects infrared. And if you look at the stratosphere, this is a layer containing ozone, and that filters ultraviolet light. So they are all have certain function to protect us. But yet every year in this limited atmosphere, we dump lots of toxins and greenhouse gases. And most young people are concerned about substantial rise in carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, methane. These are the greenhouse gases that are having a major impact on us. And obviously, we know, for instance, in terms of NOx, mainly from transport, and it's some 50% of the total. So we can target the transport system and see what we can do. Also, in terms of central heating system, we know they are responsible for producing over 40% of the most harmful emissions, namely PM 2.5, which cause a great deal of harm. And one other thing that I want to say early in the process is that a lot of people talk about carbon dioxide being captured and dumped at land or sea. But remember, when it comes to the sea, which is the easiest, the carbonic acid is formed, and this is a very unstable acid. Once the sea is saturated in certain areas, the carbon dioxide is then emitted back onto the air. And if you want to dump it in the land, it's a very expensive process. Anyway, I know there has been a lot of conventions, Kyoto, Paris now, COP26. And I know, for instance, in terms of NOx, one of the things that we have been aware of, that diesels do produce NOx. And obviously, as the diesel become more efficient, it produces more NOx. But we also know that NOx can be captured and burned as fuel. So it can be something useful. Yet the diesel has been demonized. And also there is sometimes people don't realize there's a difference between diesels, and diesel is a fuel, and internal combustion engines can be configured to burn this or burn petrol or burn hydrogen. But internal combustion engines are one of the most precious inventions of mankind, and it's here to stay. And one other thing is about trees. We know very little. I know we have got two presentations, but trees produce oxygen during the day and carbon dioxide during the night. But we don't know which tree produces more oxygen or more nitrogen oxide. And that's one area of research, or should be at least. This is if you look at our planet here, in terms of land, sea, and air, there is a balance. And this balance there is a set of figures that shows this balance has to be kept. And of course, if you keep dumping greenhouse gases or toxins, this balance will be disturbed. This is, for instance, one example of the world's biggest machine capturing carbon from the air, turned on in Iceland. It costs apparently between 10 million, 15 million dollar. And it draws some 4,000 tons of CO2 that equates to the emission from 870 cars. If you look at this figure, it means every one of us, if we were these 870 cars, could be given $15,000 a year. And I am convinced most of us will abandon our cars for that sort of reward. Nevertheless, the costs of these are huge, and obviously they don't talk about maintenance. Maintenance, this one is also substantial. Now, young people are very concerned about the exponential rise in carbon dioxide and methane in recent years. And if you look at 1960 to 2020, this rise has been continuing. I know there is a diagram here showing transport is mostly responsible for greenhouse gases, but don't look at this. This is not a very good figure. We used this in one of our papers, which we are presenting in London on 28th, 29th. I gave them this figure because this figure identifies which sector and which sector produces what. So, for instance, in terms of